Oh, well, I mean, look, as still, after, how many years have we been doing this? 3, 4 years as amateurs,
Try 5 years of amateurism.
is there a limit to the amount of years that you can be an amateur? Do you know?
I don't know, but we've got to be pushing that limit right now.
I, I mean, we need at least several more years of amateur status. We do.
Yeah, we do. We're definitely it because I scrambled and put some notes together. Duke hasn't looked at them yet. I just got the software going not 30 minutes ago, and we're sitting here looking at Richard Ray, of all things. The first thing that people see, and if they're joining the show brand new, they're probably thinking, oh my goodness, why is Richard Ray on the screen?
Well, I mean, I like his tie. I do like that tie. It's
I
got a
like
little
his
bit of
tie. It,
purple, a little bit
it
of blue.
fits nice on a weasel.
See, you got to go personalizing this. I mean, see, I don't know. I should have been a lawyer in another life because I can like, I don't know how Richard Ray does it. We've seen him lose it. You don't see many lawyers lose it, but I don't know how lawyers do that. They can like smile, hate your guts, and like be vicious and all that, and then turn right around and be cordial. And I don't know how they do it. I don't
I
get
don't
it.
either because I can't. I can't separate that out. Look. I've said this before, and then we'll actually introduce everything and get on with the show. But I've said it before. Richard Ray has always personally been very nice to me on the few occasions that we've interacted. As a matter of fact, he came up to me one day years ago. I was in Super One on Airline Drive, and Richard Ray was during the whole COVID thing. Richard Ray had on his mask, and he came up to me and took his mask off, and he said, "Hey, I'm Richard Ray." I said, "Oh yeah, I know who you are," and he was very nice, just out of the blue. But, but I know a weasel when I see one. And unfortunately, not all, but many lawyers, not all, tend to be that way. I'm not going to put all of them
Well,
in the box because there are a few good ones out there.
well, let's talk about this a little bit. You're calling him a weasel. Do you not feel like that's a personal shot when you
Yes,
say
because he
he's a weasel?
chooses he chooses to do that. It's beyond his legal responsibility, especially being city attorney. I could have called him a rat. I was trying to be nice and call him a weasel. And I'll explain
So,
more why I'm saying this here in a minute because
so
this
in
is a
your
crazy
so
show.
in your mind, calling him a weasel is being nice when in reality, if you had called him a rat, you would really be that would be like crossing another line to
Oh,
you.
after the whole term limits debacle, trust me, I want to call him much worse than that, but we try to be a
Well,
little bit adult on this show.
well,
Just a little.
I'm not just talking about Richard Ray in this context. I'm just talking about, maybe say like a lawyer in general or this conversation. You're calling him a weasel. It doesn't mean like he's dead to you, but if you called
No,
him a rat, that would mean he's dead to you.
well, sorta. Look, I'll explain. This will make much more sense here in just a little while for those of you that may be new to the show. And we've already got, I don't know, 35, 40 people that have tuned in. So let me switch the screens and get Richard Ray's mug off of there. And
Well,
let's discuss what we're going to talk about besides Richard Ray. We're getting to that.
well, that brings an interesting dialogue because look, as I'm going through my day, I'm thinking about things, and and then last night I think it was the Republican women, and you had John Fleming there, and you know, there was an after event, and after the Republican women meeting, and John Fleming was speaking, and I didn't know what it was about. I I saw a lot of people that I knew was there, and for the first time, I didn't have an invitation, and I was kind of like,
Do, do you need
huh.
one to go to the Republican women? I mean, all you got to do is
Well, no,
pay.
no, no. I was there for the Republican women
Oh,
event.
okay.
I mean, yeah, I was there for that. But this after event thing, I didn't know kind of what was going on. I knew everybody that was coming there, but I didn't know why, and it kind of caught me off guard. What was going on? What was this after thing or whatever? It kind of surprised me or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe they didn't want me there. And I don't know. It got me to thinking a little bit. It got me to thinking about how things are changing, about how people have their own ideologies politically or what have you, right or wrong. And that's the nature of politics. And just like you saying, describing Richard Ray as a weasel, maybe that is the new ebonics of language today. You know, if you say somebody's a weasel, it doesn't mean that they're dead to you. But if you call them a rat, well, the difference between a weasel and a rat is, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure I am up because I'm feeling really old about politics
Look,
right now because I'm
look,
having a hard time tracking it. I really am struggling here today.
I don't know nothing about no ebonics and digital age ebonics and all that. I'm just pretty much a straight shooter, and I look. I would say the same thing if he were sitting here beside me.
Well, Well, when I say Ebonics, I grew up in Halton. I mean, I was the minority riding the school bus, to school. And all of a sudden people started talking about Ebonics. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It didn't, nothing sound any different to me. I grew up around a different language and dialect. Nothing was new to me, but all of a sudden somebody had a different description of things. And so now we're talking about weasels and rats. And I don't get it, and okay. So I'm sorry, y'all are getting the full Duke tonight. Um, but I don't get this, Rex. I don't get this criticism of
What?
Landry. I don't get this
Well,
criticism of Landry.
okay.
I, I'll,
Let me
I'll, go
let me
ahead.
let me pause you for a second. I want to be clear. Although I am sometimes critical of Landry for a few things, I support Jeff Landry on most things, and I am in no way equating Jeff Landry to Richard Ray in no shape, form, or fashion. I want to make that perfectly clear to our guests who might be newbies to the show. So, what is your beef with the criticism of Landry?
Looks like I don't know what's going on here, but my camera is not
Yeah.
playing right. Okay. So, well, no, it's not a criticism of Landry. It's not. I mean,
Okay.
everybody knows, and I don't care if y'all want to criticize me. You can say, "Oh, Duke's carrying Jeff's water." I mean, yeah, no, I, I'm pro Jeff Landry. Are there things I don't agree with everybody? I don't agree with you. I don't
Right.
agree with my wife on things. I don't
Right.
agree with my son. I don't agree with my dog. Even he growls at me at night, every night for something.
It's
If I
because you're
kick in the bed,
disagreeable.
he lays on the end of the bed, and if I roll over wrong, he growls at me. We all don't agree with each other. That's part of life. But but here's this thing about Landry. So I learned last night that allegedly, and I don't know, supposedly, that Ralph Abraham, in which I've got a ton of respect for Ralph Abraham. Ralph Abraham is a good guy. And Ralph Abraham, he ran for governor, and I think he would have been a good governor. And he ran a clean campaign.
Right.
And I'm just going to say some of the dirtbags of the world started attacking him. He didn't become governor. Okay, moved on. Well, he left the state, went to the CDC, and then allegedly he left the CDC to become the campaign manager for Julia Letlow. And before he left, allegedly an offer was made for the job that he had with the CDC, which would have come by appointment from Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
to John Fleming if he would get out of the Senate race.
Right.
And so then automatically everybody is like jumping on this crazy train, attacking Jeff Landry, saying, "Oh, Jeff Landry's playing the inside ball because he can control Donald Trump and get Donald Trump to offer this and offer that and blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, wait, it gets worse, Mr. Lowry. Maybe you have not read the interwebs in the last 24 hours
I
or
haven't.
social
I've been
media.
trying to freaking work. I don't have time for all this stupid crap that people are obviously have too much time on their hands to
Our
come up with.
our good friend Mr. Alexander down at LA CAG has alluded to that it may be even illegal for that offer, if it was made, to have happened. And I responded, well, what laws would have actually been broken that you're alleging?
Well, I mean,
Be
look,
specific. If you're going to throw that out there, be specific. Like, I can
Chris
give
is
specific instances on Richard Ray off the top of my head.
you and I have talked about this. Everybody on all sides of the equation, from the people on the side of one candidate and the other, they're all friends of ours, and we were making jokes about all of them attacking each other.
Right.
And but what gets me is how everybody's trying to espouse that these political things are something new and different, that the governor would have some influence to try to see that somebody gets a job to get out of the way for another candidate or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Newsflash, it happens all the time.
it's always happened all the time. And how the hell are you going to say that all of a sudden, suddenly, this is some new thing? That's bull crap. That's
Yeah.
always been the way it is.
Well, it is. It's insane. But it's the nature of politics. It always has been. And so every time that, the person that's not your person, or the guy that's not your guy, or the girl that's not your girl, or whatever, you're immediately going to look at every opportunity to take pot shots at them. There are even people that get paid to do that. I'm not saying in this case, but there are even people that get paid to do that. It goes back to the old saying, follow the money.
Yeah, 100%. And so I don't know. People, I think maybe they look to us and to that stuff isn't what matters.
Right.
What I think matters, and I think people need to pay attention to. I think you need to look at the voting records. You
You
need
do.
to look at, what their voting records, what did they do prior to being in this race? What were the
Right.
actions that they took? That's what you have to go. You can't go by what people say. You got to go by what
What
they have done.
or
Look at
have
their
not done.
yeah, look at their record. That's
Look,
what you got to count on.
I'll give you an interesting example. So everybody hold on to your seatbelts for a minute. But at the Republican PEC meeting, what night was it? Monday night? I guess Monday night. Anyway, uh, Ryan Gaddy showed up, and which was kind of a surprise, but he provided some interesting feedback because we kind of had an open discussion there. But his point
Oh,
was,
okay, okay. I got to call you.
uh,
I got to call you out on that. Was it really a surprise?
well, not totally, because I had talked to him beforehand, and he
Okay,
was he was invited to the meeting by more than one of us. But I was surprised that he actually showed up, because usually he doesn't show up. But he had some
right.
good feedback to it. And one of his feedback points was, we're sitting there arguing over bylaws of all things, and no disrespect to Barry, who's the new chairman of the PEG, but Gaddy's right. We're sitting there arguing about bylaws. We have a potentially World War III started, or whatever. Who knows how that's going to end up? We have infrastructure problems here, which was Gaddy's main point that he was driving home. Hello, Mike Johnson. Where is I 69? Why haven't they finished our portion of I 49? You're the Speaker of the House from this district. Where's the infrastructure money, Mike? And that was
Okay,
Gaddy's point. As a Republican
okay.
Party of
I
Bossier Parish, we're sitting here arguing over this silly minutia when there's much bigger fish to fry.
100% totally agree with that. Okay, but I got to push back a little bit.
Okay.
I got to push back, and the
Okay.
reason I got to push back, I don't disagree on the contention regarding I-69. Don't disagree with that. That is a valid point. It's a valid point. But it's not the only point.
Yeah.
Let's
Where's the
talk
base? The
about
rest of the base gate. Hello.
okay, no, no, no.
Oh,
See, you just fell right into it. You
okay.
felt thank you. I don't get you that often.
You threw me a softball. I was trying to be nice and bunt.
No, you stepped right into the bear trap.
Okay.
You did.
So
And
so
I didn't even twist your arm. You just voluntarily stepped right into it.
okay.
For those of you excluding co-hosts who have been on Bossier Watch before, you would know that we talked about in the past the Bossier Gate,
Yeah.
and that was a thing that our good friend Ryan Gaddy, he harped on that forever,
Mhm.
and about why we didn't get the gate finished, and we reported on the show. We went and got the documents that the funding was put in place, and that it was actually the Air Force had not they had the approval for the funding. They had just not propagated that project into their plans because they
Mhm.
can only do so many plans for construction so often. And that, I mean, let's say it like it was. Ryan Gaddy was leading the charge on that argument.
Mhm.
He was saying that because while he was senator, I think he was pushing John Bell Edwards to get funding for that. He did that, and then Mike became the congressman, and the money had not been appropriated, and then it was appropriated, and then what was the holdup? Well, it was the Air Force. It wasn't Mike Johnson. He didn't have nothing to do with it. Now,
All right.
fast forward to now, I-69. Is that a valid argument? 100%. Is it the only issue? No. I
No.
would say the siltation of the Red River is a pretty damn big
Oh,
issue because,
that's huge from my perspective, just from the fishing side, not to mention the commercial industrial side. And look, here's a so hold that thought for a second. So here's a challenge for folks because I fell into the bear trap so that you would continue expanding on that so I could lead into this. Here's a challenge for everybody. I want to get a list together of the things that Mike Johnson, he who walketh on water, has actually done for this district directly. I don't want little silly things like got some passport IDs done. I'm talking real stuff. The old bringing home the bacon routine. And I'll remind everybody we pay all of these federal taxes, therefore, we should get some of them back. So, what has MJ actually done for this district? Maybe he's done a lot, and I just need to dig in and research it a little bit. So, I'm asking for help from our viewing public. What has MJ actually accomplished? He's third in line for the presidency.
well, we've only got 3 data centers, and the largest
Did he get
company
that?
in
Or
Amazon, the largest company in the
yeah, but
world.
did he get
What
that, or was it all these tax abatements and incentives that the parish has done, which we're going to get into?
Meta, Meta over in Richland Parish. I mean, all of that coming. I mean, if I were Mike Johnson, I'd be taking credit for some of that somehow, some way.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure he's going to try to take credit, but my point is, I mean, I'm sure he prompted nudged Trump to issue Trump's executive order that they have to do the blah 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 blah, which executive orders have no real teeth. Well, except he's got the Army and the ATF behind him, and the FBI, but that's a whole other point. So my question is, what has MJ really done for our district? Maybe he has done a lot. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm just not aware of any of these big picture projects.
I have got so many comments, and I don't even care about the
All
notes,
right.
but I am queued up at David Crockett in the comments that he's made.
Uh-oh.
People do not want kingmakers. Okay, I'm going to start right there, and I'm going to go down the list from right there. And okay, see, that is a talking point. That is a talking point. People don't want kingmakers.
But
So
we want
po-
Trump. Never mind.
political activists or political people, I mean, I would describe like you and me, that's a talking point that we would propagate in the course of a campaign. And no, people don't want kingmakers. But you know what? There's freaking always kingmakers. Always has been, always will be. Only the only difference now is that somebody's using that as a talking point during the course of a campaign, and they're using it against Jeff Landry. Val
Okay.
Baker. He says he could care less about Landry. Landry just kissing ass. I,
Okay.
I'm gonna Ryan Haygood, thank you for the love. Paul Johnson, the Cornyn Paxton nonsense in Texas is why the Republican Party deserves to lose to these Democrat lunatics. You know, Some people say, and I can give you an example just today. I sent it to you in a text message, and I sent you a link on X as well as a screenshot of a vote regarding that took place in Congress today.
Oh yeah, is that the two screenshots of the roll call?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
give me a second.
So,
I'll get those queued up.
as y'all know, Congress, they have this slush fund for paying off, uh, you know, allegations of sexual harassment and all this kind of stuff. So Nancy Mace, to her credit, forced a vote on releasing the disbursements, as I appreciate it, of settlements regarding sexual harassment from Congress. And how do y'all think that vote went?
Yeah,
How do y'all think it went? Well, it didn't go so good. It didn't go in favor of releasing the settlements regarding, sexual harassment. I mean, now granted, we're all like losing our minds over Epstein, right? We're
right.
all just like can't contain ourselves, but yet here's the list of Republicans and Democrats that uh, voted in favor. That's the list of who voted in favor of releasing all of the disbursements and making it public. And what I would tell you is there's not a Johnson name on there. Why is that?
Uh, let's see. 65 members of Congress stood with survivors yesterday. They voted to expose the sexual harassment files on members of Congress, files that have been buried, hidden, protected by Congress for years. 38 Republicans, 27 Democrats. I I don't know. That I can't answer. I mean, it should say, look, whether it,
Yeah, but Paul Johnson says the Corn and Paxton nonsense in Texas is why Republican Party deserves to lose to these Democrat lunatics.
nah, it's not the only
It
reason.
No, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, look,
Yeah, it's the whole uniparty thing.
we are per capita in Bossier. I remember this. I remember going down, and whenever I ran for House District 8 in the legislature, remember, guys, way back when? And I remember going down, meeting with the Louisiana Family Forum, and I remember the discussion talking about how in Bossier, of all places, Airline Drive per capita, there's more churches, more Southern Baptists and religion per mile and capita in Bossier than anywhere in the country. But yet, here in Bossier, our own Mike Johnson didn't agree with releasing. He didn't vote in favor of this sexual harassment stuff, and yet we all seem to be like wound up and fired up about Epstein stuff. But
Well,
but
I wonder what his biblical justification for that is.
I don't
Hmm.
know. I just making a point here to all of you. Everybody, we're so perfect, but when you look at the votes here, I don't know.
All right. Well, it's like I say, if he'd take his time away from doing selfies with Trump, he might actually get something done for our district, because whether I like him or you like him or dislike him or whatever the case is, he's still our elected congressman in addition to being Speaker of the House. So get with it, Mikey.
Okay, so Michael Prom says, I asked the same of Landry. What has he done? So Michael Prom and y'all, I don't care. Y'all can say, please, by all means, in the comments, y'all can take any shot you want to at me. I don't care. Take the shot. Say I'm a lackey. Say well, I'm whatever. But I want to address. He says I asked the same of Landry. What has he done? Okay, your insurances, and I say that plural, uh, auto and residential has, while not what we would want, have seen modest decreases. You have seen those. Taxes are going down. You have to acknowledge those things. Those are improvements. You haven't seen those before. but you are seeing those modest improvements now. You can complain and say it's not enough. Okay, well,
Well,
go
then
back to
run
the
for
way things
office.
go back to the way things were before, and you get the promise, but you get nothing. At least right now, you get something. And on the economic development front, look, I'm not into the carbon capture thing. I'm totally opposed to all that. Totally, I'm not on that camp. I'm without a doubt. Uh,
Well,
but
now let me chime in for a second because I've been pretty clear. I think it's a boondoggle, but it's a boondoggle because it involves government tax dollars, which are all of our money. I mean, if a private company wants to go out there and capture carbon all day long, let them go out there with little butterfly nets and capture all the carbon that they want and process it. It's when it gets into a property rights or potential eminent domain issue, and when they're going to inject it into the ground that may leach into other areas because carbon doesn't know fences, much like a dog or a cat doesn't know a fence or a hog or whatever. Uh, that's where I draw the line. Other than that, I'm not against carbon capture technology. If a private business thinks it's financially viable, just don't do it on the backs of us taxpayers subsidizing the daggum thing.
well, the dirty little secret on the carbon capture thing is that train and that stuff started rolling before Jeff Landry came along.
All right.
That originated through John Bell Edwards, but I mean, it doesn't
He,
matter.
he jumped
That
on the bandwagon.
he jumped on the bandwagon. That's the way politics works. He's there now. He gets the credit, even though
Right.
he didn't start it. Michael Prom says still got inspection sticker, insurance still high.
Yeah.
I
Well,
appreciate your acronyms. Still got income
look,
tax, and
I
now we're
gotta
getting data centers. You're
I
you're
gotta
right,
say,
but the income taxes, they can't just do away with it overnight. Have they set the stage to slowly start whittling it down and it go away? Yeah, they have. And do I think it's going to be gone within maybe, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say the number of years. I'm going to say within 4 to 6 years, are we going to have the state income tax gone, abolished? Yeah, I think it is. If Landry is able to continue to be there, I think the income tax is going to be completely gone. He's working to do it. But
oh
what I can
well,
tell you, regardless of who it is, I'm sorry, Rex, hold up. Regardless of who it is, Landry can't do it overnight. It doesn't matter who the governor is. They can't do it overnight. And I know y'all would argue with that, but they can't.
well,
Bottom
I'm
line.
just gonna say in that case, then it's probably never gonna happen because Landry's gonna be the envoy to Greenland or new emperor of Greenland or whatever that deal is. See, I was gonna throw out a
Oh,
snarky little comment.
bull crap. He ain't going to Greenland. And the inspection sticker, okay, good grief. Why do y'all think Mike Eccles is running ads on the inspection stickers? That's going away this year.
Yeah,
That's
and look,
done.
to be
They've
clear,
already
we're still gonna be paying. They're just gonna shift it away, but at least I don't have to drive down, which I have not done in quite a while. Let me just say that cough cough. But at least I don't have to drive down there and waste my time for that stupid sticker that they literally don't test anything for unless you get a new vehicle. And you got go buy a brand spanking new vehicle, it has to have an inspection sticker. It makes zero sense, except the state popo needs the revenue. That's the
That
only
that
reason.
that was the rub. That's the only reason it's remained in place is because it was part of the funding for the state police. And the reason we know it is guaranteed going to go away this year is because they've already figured out how to make up the revenue if they take away the inspection sticker because they know it's so popular with everybody. This thing is done before the legislature even convenes.
Right.
So
And
you
look,
can't use the inspection sticker thing anymore, Michael Prime. It's gone.
we're getting mixed reports on insurance. Let me just say this because I've been on the insurance bandwagon for a while, being critical. I gotta admit, my vehicle insurance through State Farm actually did drop by nearly, I'd have to go pull the deal, but it was bumping 10%. Maybe not quite 10. Now, and look, I have like almost a perfect driving record, and I still carry full insurance on two of the four vehicles, full coverage, even though they're paid, all of them are paid for. So My insurance has actually decreased slightly. Now, you know, whether yours has or not, I don't know. And whether that's attributable to Landry or anything that our legislature critters have done, I don't know yet. So I've got to sit down and analyze that. But anyway,
Okay, so David Crockett says, Duke, this is contagious. My daughter in Mississippi is watching. To David Crockett's daughter in Mississippi who is watching, I want you to know that your father is a high achiever, and I appreciate just words can't describe how much I enjoyed his company working on the term limits stuff. I mean, he is an unbelievable human being. Um, just words would do no justice to what I could say about the man. He's a machine, no doubt about it. You should be
he's
proud of
like
your
the Energizer Bunny.
dad. You should be proud of your dad.
All right. So let's pause for a second because we haven't done what we're supposed to do by video standards at the very beginning of the video, and that's tell everybody what the video is about. See, we're already
Wait,
killing ourselves in the data center powered algorithms.
Ryan Haygood is outing me. He says, Duke, how old is your 2014 inspection sticker? Which vehicle are you talking about, Ryan? Because I don't have an inspection sticker on one of them, so I don't remember which one
Oh,
has
your windshield
a
just
20.
got replaced, right?
Yeah, exactly. All I have to do is how many the session is only 3 more months. I got to hang out for 3 more months and I'm golden.
That's what I keep telling myself. Da, 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 da. All right. So what? Here's what we. Even though we've been off on a tangent with Landry and Mike Johnson and Trump and insurance and all sorts of things, what we're really supposed to talk about tonight is the Bossier City Arts Council eviction. Some more on the data centers because there was a very interesting meeting, town hall style meeting at the Blanchard Town Hall, and I'm going to give you the synopsis of that. I've posted the full video on Bossier Watch. And there's a upcoming police jury meeting, Bossier Parish police jury meeting on the data centers where you'll get to do some public input after the fact. Now
Where
back
do I
to our regularly scheduled amateur programming.
where do I go from there? Mike Eccles is now in the comments.
What?
He says, "Come
Oh,
on, less regulations."
hold on. Let me hit the ban button on that Eccles guy.
Look, Mike is a good
He
guy. I
is.
got, and he actually lives in the district that he's running in, which
Oh,
is a
hey, that's
positive.
saying something these days.
It is, it is. But he's on board with getting rid of the inspection sticker. I hear allegedly, so he's
Yes.
always been on the right side.
Can you confirm or deny that officially in the comments, Mr. Eccles? What's your opinion of the inspection stickers?
Yeah. So I don't know the data center stuff. We had Mike on. I don't know, however many weeks ago, talking about the impact of the Meta data center over in Richland Parish and his neck of the woods, and they've seen a big uptick, and I think that we're going to see that uptick. Additionally, I I sent you some pictures today
Uh-huh.
of some things that I noticed about developments that makes one wonder
Oh,
if people had
yes.
prior knowledge that
Oh, like
something
kind of
was
like
coming.
insider knowledge?
Insider knowledge, and the reason, David Crockett, I take offense to your comments. Your check is on the way, Duke. Oh, wait a minute.
Well,
Are you saying from you? You're going to pay
yes.
me?
Yes. For all
Oh,
that promotion you did of him.
oh, okay, 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 okay. Well, you're welcome, David. But I'll tell you, no check is needed. You're the man.
All
Um,
right. So before we get it to these pictures, let's do the quick ad thing. Thank you to Julie and Michael Ferris with Pelican Training, and especially thanks to Kara Lowry and Duke Lowry with Acadiana Mortgage, but more so Kara for letting Duke come on here every week for several hours and rant and rave with me. And of course, if you need some tech help or whatever, reach out to me. Or if you need some outdoors type content, look over on the Outdoor News where Duke and I and his friend Josh Goins and a lot of other people have really stirred the pot and pissed off the duck hunters. Well, pissed off some of the duck hunters. So you can go check that out. All right. So what did you notice? What did you notice about this maybe insider knowledge?
There is so much going on here. Jeff Sadow is a high achiever. He noticed my shirt, and I'm wearing this shirt for a reason. And it's like skulls, and it's like all that because I don't care who I offend
Sons
tonight.
of
I'm
Anarchy?
just well, it ain't Sons of Anarchy. I don't know. That was a cool show, but it's
Yeah.
not got nothing to do with that but bottom line is I don't care who I offend tonight. I mean, we're all what was it they said in that movie Dust and Bones and all that, and it's we're all like I mean, we're all going to die, and it doesn't matter. What matters is how we conduct ourselves in lives and how we carry on, and truth and light, and
Well, you're
and
getting
salt and light.
entirely too philosophical for now.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's the
I'm
bottom
trying to
line.
I'm trying to get on my soapbox and piss off politicians and other elected officials, and you're getting all philosophical on me.
Well, but I'm loading us up for that pissing off
Oh,
politicians
okay.
because I know that we're going to basically piss them all off tonight because we're going to give everybody grief. Maybe not Mike Eccles because he says data centers good for America, bad for China, and I agree. He's not said anything I disagreed with. The only thing I disagree with Mike Eccles on is he is uh, he's a he's a closet Ducks Unlimited guy. That's the only thing. I mean,
Oh,
he prefers spoonbills over gadwalls. I, I I can't explain it. It's just one of those things, and you know, but I appreciate it about at least he's honest.
yeah.
You
At
know.
least he's honest. All right. He's a well. Anyway. All right. So where shall we go first? Are we gonna move into the data centers, or are we gonna talk about the Bossier City Arts deal? Where would you like to go first? Or let's
See,
move up to this plain dealing deal though. I got these pictures queued up.
yeah. So look, the politics. We were talking about how people, I complaining about Landry, and I think it's. I don't. Yeah. See, he admits it. He doesn't like
Mm.
gadwalls. He's a mallards guy. And you know why he likes mallards? He's a mallard hunter because he's on the corn lobby. He's on the corn bandwagon. And that's anti-Louisiana, and he's running
Yes,
for
it is.
Congress.
All right. Oh, that
But
would be my wife. Let me keep talking. Let me text her and see what she wants.
I got you. Talk to your wife, and I'll talk to everybody watching the show. I mean, it ain't no big deal, just everybody watching, taking a shot.
Yeah.
But anyway, so everybody jacking with Landry and acting like what Landry's doing is something new. Every freaking governor along the way does all of this crap and making deals. I mean, that's politics, and I take issue with that because it's not fair to say that like this is some new thing that we've never seen before. It's part of it, and I would say that or is Louisiana now a part of the discussion, or is Louisiana not a part of the discussion? We've got data centers coming here. We've got, I mean, Meta and Amazon, two of the biggest companies in the world now, are pitching their tent right here in Louisiana. Was that because of Mike Johnson, or did he have any influence? I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. We got the largest bomber base in the world. That's always been. That had nothing to do with Mike Johnson, but we're seeing improvements there. I think we're moving in the right direction. Um, you know, did Landry have any influence in there? Maybe, maybe not. Throw all the shots you want at people, pick your winners and losers, play the politics that you want to play, but like it or not, we're moving in a positive direction we're not going backwards. We're moving in, we're moving forward, we're changing. And that's what everybody voted on in the last election. They voted to change. They voted to move the state in a different direction, to get out of the status quo. And like it or not, we're moving, and you can't complain about that. I mean, you
Well, but people are always opposed to, or most people are always opposed to change. So anytime you start shifting directions, by definition, that's a change, and you're going to have some people gripe about it. It's simple
and
as that.
and and I agree with people being opposed to change, but you know why I think a lot of people are opposed to the change and why they're mad?
Why would
I
that
think
be?
mad because they don't have all of the information. They haven't been informed. They don't, and they haven't been informed because of NDAs and because of things like that. And I agree with people. That's not right. It shouldn't have been.
Right.
We've got a couple of legislators in our comments, and you know, I don't know how they voted on that deal, but we. I don't think that we should ever allow our local governments to enter into NDAs. But
Well, and I agree with you 100% on principle because it's dealing with tax dollars, which are public, and it's dealing with public resources. And I don't know. We're going to get into part of that with William Bradford's comments at the Blanchard Town Hall meeting. I mean, he has a point, but there's also a counterpoint to that. But speaking of NDAs and insider information, you want me to pull these pictures up?
yeah, I think it's 100% on the mark to bring up and ask this question. So, how is it that if we have NDAs signed, how is it that someone in Plain Dealing suddenly knew to build a travel trailer park to where it would be ready to go right at the start of groundbreaking for, you know, the Bossier data center? How does that happen?
It's a valid question. Now, to be clear, there is a paper mill up there. We covered that extensively. You know, the one that went bankrupt, but I assume they have made it through the bankruptcy and still operating up there. So, is any of this, does it appear to be related to maybe
I
uh,
drive by this every day that I go to my crawfish farms, and plain dealing that I'm not planting unharvested agriculture for the purpose of attracting ducks, Michael Eccles, that I've seen a gradual change that I can document over the course of 20 to 30 years. But no, this was done after the paper mill was built in there in the
okay.
name of economic development. But somehow somebody had the foresight to do this park here, and I haven't looked up. I
Well,
have no idea who the owners are and their connections. I'll bet I could do a little research and I could make some connections here. But they were high achievers, and how did they know?
all right. So, I haven't been up towards that way in a while, but is there any land clearing or anything like that going on in just north of Benton where the data center is going to go?
Well, I will tell you that you can see if anyone gets in their car and they drive up the road there and they drive into Benton, you'll see a lot of ground starting to be turned over and people starting to, invest a little money in developing a few things, in anticipation probably of all of the construction to take place. Mike Eccles can he told us in the interview he did, here a few weeks ago about the boon from just basically the laborers doing the construction over there in his neck of the woods. But my point is that you can see activity over here from people that now have become aware that there's going to be something big happening over here. They're starting just now to put development together. But this case right here, they're either really lucky or they had prior knowledge, because they started and finished their project to be perfect timing. I mean, it's
Imagine
almost
that.
like Congress and the insider trading. I mean, they're perfect. They're better than the professionals,
Yeah,
congressmen.
because if I remember right from the Blanchard meeting, which again I've got the full video posted on Bossier Watch, but if I remember correctly, they were like, going to start turning ground in 30 days type deal. They've already done the job fairs for the ones over in Caddo Parish. I think they're going to have a town hall style meeting over here for the Bossier side. And of course, as we're going to talk about, the Bossier Parish Police Jury has an upcoming meeting where the data center will be discussed for the very first time, even though it's already done. But I digress. So, yeah, if anybody knows anything about this particular trailer park, and maybe they are really lucky or great soothsayers, let us know.
Yeah, we would really like to know, and if the owners of that property would like to comment and say that what their rationale, did they know anybody or did they know anything? We would really like to know. I don't think it would change anything.
No, no,
Um,
it's not.
hey,
But
personal privilege. Because my good buddy says, "Whoa, 510,000 corn acres planted in Louisiana. We got lots of corn. Yeah, we got lots. There's too much freaking corn planted." Fifth district, largest row crop district in Louisiana. He's right. Their district over there, they are a mecca of agriculture. Uh,
hey, Mike, how much do y'all flood for mallards?
Yeah, that's the golden question, because just because they have corn doesn't mean that they're flooding for the purpose of attracting and holding waterfowl, which is what's happening in Missouri. And the scale is to a point that it's affecting migration. And when you start affecting migration, and here's the other thing, deer hunters, this should concern you as well too, because not only are they flooding all of this corn, they're then harvesting it. And you know what they're doing? They're sacking it up for deer corn, and it's loaded up with aflatoxin, and it's not tested, and they're poisoning all of your deer. Now that doesn't have anything to do with the CWD. It's not related, but they're not making our herd or deer herds any safer with all of these practices, and it needs to change. So plug that away in your computer.
Yeah. All right. So I'm getting some dingage here from text messages, but all right. So I guess we'll just tee off of that right into the data centers.
It's hard being my friend, ain't it?
Well, it goes both ways all the time. One week it's one way, one week it's the other. All right. So let me.
Ooh, I'm seeing all kinds of mad little thing emojis popping up. Somebody's like losing their crap.
Gee, we've never made anybody angry before. I'm shocked.
We ain't even talked about Bossier City really
No, we're
yet.
just really rambling right now. All right, so let's get into the data centers, and then we'll get into the Bossier Arts deal because I can discuss the Blanchard data center meeting. That'll lead into Bossier and the police jury, and then we can end up on the Bossier City Arts eviction thing. All right, so here we go. Let's see how I want to handle this. Let me cue up a little video here while I'm talking about this. So I went to the Blanchard Town Hall data center meeting, which was an official meeting, town hall style. They, of course, the Blanchard City Council wasn't making any decisions or anything like that, but they had all kinds of people there. William Bradford was there, and I got to say, that guy is as smooth in person as he is on the radio. He is the best pitch man since the Flex Seal and OxyClean guys. He did a superb job of pitching that in that
Really?
meeting. Yeah, he did. I'm being a little facetious, but I'm absolutely being serious about the guy had an answer for everything and smooth, and he's very good with people. I mean, he seems sincere. I'm not saying he's not sincere. He came across as very sincere But he was definitely selling the Amazon deal, which is, you know, what he's supposed to do, whether he's paid or he's just a benevolent guy that does this just for the heck of it in his spare time. So let me kind of set the scene a little bit, and let me get this video queued up while I'm setting the scene. So, so I get there to the Blanchard Town Hall, and there, the parking lot was already full. The meeting was at 5 o'clock, or I'm sorry, the meeting was at 6 o'clock. Supposed to start at 6 o'clock. I got there at 5:30. And when I got there, the parking lot was already full. So I had my camera and I walked up there. Well, the news media is all out there interviewing. I think Chris Crackman was there. McCormick was there. He may have not seen me or come by after I walked in. But anyway, so the news media is out there interviewing all these people and the protesters against it and all that. So I just walked in and got my camera set up and all that. Well, it was standing room only. And the as you can see from the video that's rolling right here, it was packed because there were people outside as well. Uh, and so,
So wait a minute. I got to ask you, where where was Channel 3?
they were not inside. They actually couldn't come in because, well, there were too many people already in the building.
Oh, okay. Well, where was Channel 12?
They weren't in there either. I was the only camera in there. As a matter of fact,
Oh,
it was me and Liz Swain. She's sitting up there on the front from the Shreveport Bossier Advocate.
so Channel 6 wasn't in there either.
None of them were in there. I've got the only video, Bossier Watch. We have the only video that I know about, unless somebody was holding their phone, but I didn't see anybody, of this whole meeting.
Holy schmoly.
Yeah. Now, I want to point something else out. This was just a little awkward. So, do you notice all the law enforcement officers, all the cops there? There were like 60 people in this meeting, maybe 75, you know, and a dozen or a couple of dozen people outside. There had 8 cops in here. Like the whole Blanchard police force was in here, and some cattle sheriff's deputies. It
What
was
did
just
they think?
weird.
Did they think somebody was going to raise the electricity rates right then?
I don't know what they were thinking, but I'm just telling you, it was just kind of weird. And you know, nobody really got out of line. There was one guy, you can kind of see him over here in the blue shirt on the right side waving the paper around. He spoke up. They were trying to do it in order and then have a Q&A session and all that. And he spoke up with a couple of comments, but Bradford let him speak, and Bradford was pretty cool about it, you know, and then kind of deflected and diverted the questions till later. So, I mean, nobody really got out of line, although the Blanchard police chief did move over there towards this guy. And I don't know what he was going to, you know, I mean, what was he going to arrest him for? Speaking in a non public actual meeting in a town hall? I don't know. But anyway, and I'll say all of the law enforcement were cool. When I walked in there, I had my stuff and he was like, okay, I got to make sure you like don't have a bomb in there, do you? I was like, no, not a bomb in here. So, you know, they were all pretty cool, but it was just
Okay,
weird, I'm telling you.
okay, wait a minute. You were giving props to Bradford there, but Michael Prom says in the comments said Bradford knows all about it. Worked for AEP,
Oh,
fired, but
yes.
now works for the data center.
Not just that, as I understand it, he's in some relation, like, is he the one of the town attorneys or works for the firm that's the attorneys of record for the town of Blanchard or something? Somebody clarify that in the comments for me. I haven't looked that up officially. But anyway, so I'm not gonna play the meeting because I don't have all that ready yet. The whole thing again is posted on Bossier Watch, but I want to point out a couple of things that um, Bradford was talking about here and some things that were said.
Paul Johnson says Mike Eccles is that mega type and a domestic terrorist.
Oh, well, he might be in his
According
spare time. He does a lot of things.
Oh, wait a minute. He said according to Garland. So, Mike, you can take that as a badge of honor.
Yeah. All right. So, um, Amanda Nottingham was there. She's kind of stood right beside me, and I told her, I said, now, Amanda, the mic is hot right now. She goes, oh, she says, so anything that I say, you will absolutely use against me, right? And I said, absolutely. Of course, that's the way we do it. So, anyway,
Hey, I gotta ask you a question.
all right,
So, like, you went and did some training here recently.
some training.
Yeah, you went and did some teaching. You were teaching some tech stuff, right?
Yes, I was. I was teaching some Excel classes for Pelican training.
I know because I see Michael Ferris. He says this show is the bomb. So I'm just wondering, did when you were doing these training classes, for the clients of Pelican Training, I was just wondering, did you tell them that said, hey, oh, by the way, you get extra credit if you watch Bossier Watch or
Well,
something
interesting you should say that because
like that?
at the Shreveport location that I was at, they already recognized me. And a couple of people said, hey, I know that voice. Are you the guy from Bossier Watch? And I was like, yes, but we're here to learn Excel. We're not talking about politics.
Well, you made it, so it must not have been a bad
We are,
experience.
we are infamous, as in El Guapo, infamous. All right. Okay, so anyway, it was just a little odd. Now there were some protesters outside. Let me get that picture queued up, and I'll kind of show that because there were
What
some
were they?
people.
What were they protesting there?
Oh well, I guess basically the data centers. They don't like Amazon. I don't know, and a lot of them honestly were protesting. You can see on their shirts peace over corporate whatever, and a lot of them were mad because well there was no public input until basically this meeting, or not much, very, very little. And so, it's that whole NDA thing we've been on and all that because the people really haven't had much of a say until tonight. And these people, most of these protesters had decided to remain outside. They didn't want to go in the meeting. So it's not like they were forced to stay out. They chose to stay out there. You can kind of see McCormick and Crackman back there in the background. Um, but they're just opposed to the data center for various reasons. Maybe it's noise, maybe they're worried about industrial pollution, maybe they're worried, or have a concern like I do about the pulling of the extra water from Caddo Lake, which they addressed at that meeting as well. And that's a
You
whole other
Wait a
topic.
minute. You said industrial pollution. Are
I said worried about it. I didn't say there was going to be.
Well, you're the tech guy, right? That's what you
Hmm.
do. If you're teaching Excel, that means you're the tech guy, and you put all this show together, and you do all this fancy crap to put all these things together. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm here just to pretty up the show, but
Color
I'm just
commentary.
wondering. I'm just wondering. So I got my Mac sitting here. What is the industrial pollution that my Mac Mini is sitting here putting out?
Well,
Explain that to me. You said industrial pollution. I'm just wondering because in this a bunch of I'm trying to understand this data center and I'm envisioning like thousands and thousands of Mac minis on a shelf, in this big freaking building. What is the industrial pollution that all
well,
of these damn computers are putting out? I don't get it.
there's really not, to be honest. There's not. I mean,
That's
you
what I
know,
thought.
here's the thing. Here's what the data centers produce because it is a production facility, but they produce basically bits, electrons, literally. All right, and they're just facilitating the influx and outflow of the data. That's it. Now, yeah, the computers themselves, the motherboards are made up of products that you don't really want to put in a landfill. You're not supposed to throw computers away in the landfill. There are ways to dispose of them properly and all that. But Amazon's not going to be, as their servers go down, they're not going to throw them out in the dumpster behind the building and install a new one. That's not the way this works. And here's something interesting. So this is the part where if you want to know more about the Amazon data centers, go tag your friends and all that good stuff that live around Caddo Lake and around the area. The wastewater, the
I'd say
waste,
what you do for the show is crap.
what?
Jerry, my next door neighbor, she says, "Duke, what Rex? You got my neighbors turned against me.
Ha!
I'm
Yes.
gonna have to move now. They're gonna like that."
Objective achieved. Duke's neighbors are
Okay.
turning on him. All right. So,
Keep going. You're
all
running me
right.
out of my neighborhood.
So here's the interesting thing, because one of my questions going in there, if I were going to ask anything, was they've not mentioned the wastewater for the State Line Road plant and all that. The wastewater is going back to Caddo. It's going to loop back into Caddo. Now, when I say wastewater, because of the because Caddo is a drinking water source for Blanchard, who distributes water to Mooringsport and Oil City and all these other communities around there. The water that's returned into Caddo must meet all EPA standards for drinking water. So the water that's going back to Caddo by EPA standards, according to the Amazon folks that were there and all those cheerleaders for them, and according to the reports that were filed with the Louisiana DEQ, the water it's going to be treated on site, and it is going to be drinking water compliant back into Caddo Lake. And even more interesting, and this was the question that kind of boggled me a little bit, was they claimed and touted in that meeting that Amazon has a goal. Now I'm going to sound like a cheerleader for Amazon. Amazon has a goal to be net positive in their water return to Caddo Lake. And I was like, wait a minute. How is this going to work? How are you going to use water? It's going to obviously evaporate and some of it into the atmosphere, yet you're going to return more water. That the physics and the math ain't mathing, and the physics ain't getting physical there. And so I asked them about that after the meeting, and they did talk about it some in the meeting. But apparently,
Right.
although it's not in writing, Amazon is going to work on some initiatives upstream with irrigation and other things to help conserve water and be able to overall return
Right.
more water to Cattle Lake than they're using. Now, they also claim, and I've got the handouts posted on Bossier Watch as well, that they're only going to be using water around 13 to 14% of the year. In other words, their servers are designed to run relatively warm. And so the only time that they're going to need the cooling water is in the hottest times of the year. And that they calculate is going to amount to about 50 to 60 million gallons, 50 to 60 million gallons per year during that time frame, which is far less than what a lot of us were calculating on based on their assumed water usage over 365 days.
Okay.
All right.
Let me get
So
in here and
now,
get a
now
piece
that
of
I've
it.
been the pitch man for Amazon, go ahead.
Well, so all right. So the first one, Michael Prom, maybe the wastewater returning to the lake. I guess that's where you got started, and then several other people making comments. But the if people ever went down the road of looking at what discharge into rivers, streams, or whatever, as to what's approved or whatever, it would probably make their head spin. They would, but I think, and I may be wrong, and I don't mean to offend. There's about 70 people watching the show. I don't mean to offend people watching, but I don't think people appreciate or have knowledge of what is approved to be returned into, you know, our tributaries. I don't think they know. I really don't. Because I
Right.
think if you did, if more people knew, they would be have objections and they would have grievances about that. But people don't concern themselves with a lot of those things, and they don't care historically. And so to suddenly have a care about a discharge from this type of facility, it to me, having knowledge of those things is hypocritical. So that rubs me a little wrong
Well, not
because
speaking of hypocrisy, the fact that what we're doing right now is running through data centers. Hello.
correct. Everything is a contradiction. And what I see the use of water for the purpose of data centers is not egregious in comparison to other uses of water that are then discharged into tributaries,
Right.
and you're not considering the low grabs, you're not considering all of those different things. There's no way. I mean, like you and I think we were on different pages. Remember when the burn chamber out at Camp Minden? I know we were on different pages. You
Slightly, but yeah.
were, yeah, you were kind of against the burn chamber thing. I was in favor of the burn chamber thing. The reason I was in favor of the burn chamber thing, I mean, and it's not a knock on you at all, because I appreciate the difference in opinions. I come from a background, a retired fireman. I was a hazmat technician, went to the state police training facility in Holden, Louisiana, and I appreciate chemistry and that type of thing. And I appreciated what they had developed out there to be able to remediate hazardous material with the system that they had. And
Yeah.
so based off of that, I thought that was a good thing. You had a different view, and I'm not going to try to describe your view of it, but I was in favor of it, you were against it. And but from two different
Yeah.
lenses.
Well, and to be clear, my view on it was, number one, the majority of the citizens out there, not just the vocal activists, the majority of the citizens out there didn't want it at Camp Minden. I was all in favor of put a clean burning facility at Clean Harbors. They're literally open burning. Well, they've actually finally the EPA got on them in the DEQ and throttled them back some, but that facility was literally open burning everything. So why not move that technology down to Clean Harbors, which was already a facility for doing that? Because the people didn't want it at Camp Minden. You'd already been through multiple incidences out there, including a massive explosion, and the folks just didn't want it there. You're absolutely right. The amount of hazmat that goes down the train tracks out every day, not to mention the interstate, is astronomical. So there is a little bit of irony or hypocrisy there. But that was the reason that I was not in favor of the commercialization of the hazmat treating out at Camp Minden.
Yeah, so let me put this in perspective for y'all. And the Pharisees will appreciate this, but for all of you that are not Pharisees, so everybody getting their dander all up about the water here. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong to not want to have oversight, but have you ever sat at a train track? All of you watching, have you ever sat at a train track? And as you're sitting there at that train track and you see that rail cars just going by in front of you, just one after the other, and there's no way y'all haven't seen this in your lifetime. You may not remember it, but when you see that one rail car that comes flying by you and it's solid white and it has like that one red stripe around it, have you ever seen that before, Rex?
Oh yeah.
So y'all know what that is? That's like what they use in the gas chambers. And you know how much of that chemical that's in that rail car that you see come flying by you that's white with they call them candy stripers. You know how much of that they use in the gas chambers? Like one eye droplet.
All right.
And you just seen it come by in a multi thousands of gallons right there, just rolled right by you in a rail car. And you're freaking out about a little bit of water. I'm not. I know it sounds like
Well,
I'm minimizing, but I'm not. But I'm just saying that if you dig deeper into things, I don't know that you understand how much every day in your life the danger that you face is right there every single freaking day.
right. So I want to bring up a couple of points. One, a comment by Michael Prime. He says, and the state line don't want a heavy industrial project either. That may very well be true, Michael. I would actually like to see, some sort of poll, which would not be difficult to do. Maybe Crackman or McCormick could be in on this, but put together a poll to see what the actual response is from the residents in the surrounding areas where the data centers are going to be located. In fact, are the majority of people for or against this, or where does everybody actually stand? Because I'm kind of caught in the middle. I'm for the data center, all right, period, full stop. Except with the Caddo one, and this is to the point on the Red River that Joey made in the comments, I'm not for them really drawing the water out of Caddo Lake. I got full confidence they're going to probably most likely return clean water back to Caddo. My problem is, and Caddo can handle the 5 million gallons. Caddo can handle the 56 million gallons that they project. Right now, if you go stand at the dam, I've said this ad nauseum, if you go stand at the dam on Caddo and you wait 3 minutes, that's the amount of water that the data center will use in one day. And they're only going to use that amount of water a certain number of days a year, period. Caddo has been above pool stage, which means water has been going over that dam almost the entire year. The last time we really had a drought situation was in like 2016 or whatever the year was several years back. So the majority of the time, over 80% or nearly 80% of the time, there's water flowing over the dam. It's slightly above pool stage, which means that water is just going down 12 Mile Bayou and down the Red River. Now, Joey, to your comment, I would probably say they chose the Caddo location because the infrastructure was already there and they didn't have to run another pipeline. It's probably cheaper in the end. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing because, well, the NDAs and hiding behind that didn't really let us all in on that. So the other point that I would like to make is my biggest thing with Caddo, again, I've said many times, is even though I'm fully by the math doesn't lie, by the math, Caddo can handle the water consumption of this project. But the problem is, once this project pops off, that's going to make it that much easier for the next project, and Dallas is already trying to raid the water from Caddo upstream. So that presents a challenge to me because at that point, it would begin really taxing the water that we have available. Now, the counter argument to that is I also think that they need to revamp the dam at Caddo because Caddo is not a natural lake anymore. It has a dam that was put in the early 1900s, but they need to drain Caddo or at least do a drawdown on it and let some of that silt settle down and dry out and improve the fishery and all this other stuff. But that's a whole other conversation. So there's my stance, which I've now said probably 6 or 10 times on the show. But to be clear.
Well, there's a couple of points I want to make in there. I mean, look, they're using water. They're not using it in a chemical process where they're adding chemicals and changing things. They're using it to basically cool. That means that if you're going to run water through a process to cool, I mean, you want clean water. You want it clean, and if you're going to discharge it, you're going to clean it as well. I think possibly they are going to send water out that was cleaner before they took it in because before they run it through a system, they're going to clean it and make sure that it's clean. I well, you and I have talked in the past about Salvinia, and there was a study that I read that was done. I think it was in India. They did regarding Salvinia, and you know where Salvinia thrives? Salvinia thrives in waters that have pollution in it, that have a lot of low gravs and are polluted. That's where Salvinia thrives, and I think that what we're going to end up finding out of this is that their discharge is going to be cleaner than what their intake is.
Well,
And
all I can say, if
one of
that's
the
the case, then Caddo must be heavily polluted then because it absolutely thrives on Caddo, Bistino. It even thrives on Cypress Lake, except Cypress Lake has enough current flow and no trees and open water that it can push it downstream.
well, we're not supposed to talk about it, but like Bistino, door cheap Bayou. Why is it that all of that crap thrives out there? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because there's this little place called Camp Minden just north of it.
Oh,
And,
which is a
you know,
super fun site, by the way.
ding, 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 ding. And they call it quote
Oh,
unquote cancer alley. I mean,
and
look,
Caddo has a
nature.
super fun site at the uh, Longhorn plant over there too. By the way, most people don't know that. That's a super fun site right there, right beside Caddo Lake. Newsflash to everybody.
Yeah. So I appreciate the fact that people don't. Maybe people haven't e- expended a lot of time to think about some of these things as in depth as maybe like you and I have, because we're political wonks and we've went down these roads and we've been in these dialogues and debates and thought processes before. But and, and and it doesn't mean we're right. It doesn't mean we're right at all. But the one thing I do know is that nature does try to heal itself. Nature tries to fix itself. And
It
that
does.
crap about the Salvinia and it thriving in polluted waters, that's freaking real. I've seen that
Oh,
firsthand,
look,
and it makes
Salvinia
total
thrives.
sense.
Salvinia may thrive more in polluted water, maybe, but I can tell you absolutely it thrives in just about any water that it gets put in. But that's a whole other conversation about the devil. Matt Farr has a comment. He says, they have said they are adding chemicals to the water in the meetings. Well, I hate to tell you, Matt, every time you wash your dishes or wash your clothes or go wash your car or stop at a car wash, you're adding chemicals to the water by definition, literally every single time. I mean, look, I
Yeah,
don't want to sound like a cheerleader for Amazon or William Bradford or anybody else, because that meeting didn't change my mind and my stance on this. But the reality is, you need to look at it objectively. And look, I'll be the first to say, and we need to get into this part of it too before it gets too late, is the NDA thing. And both you and I 100% agree, Duke, on the NDAs. Bradford made a pitch for the NDAs in the meeting. My response, which I didn't say in the meeting, I was videoing, trying to be professional or semi-professional and nice, but his response was, or justification was that they have to do these deals and there has to be some corporate secrecy, or their competition could come in and buy up the land and drive the prices up and all that. My response is, well, if that's the way you feel, y'all need to come in as a corporation, set up an LLC, go ahead and buy up the land. If you end up not doing the deal, turn around and sell the land and cut your losses. And that prevents that. I'm not a fan of NDAs when it involves public tax dollars and public entities. It's that simple with me. I understand
yeah.
their justification for it, but that does not mean I agree with it.
That is where the rub is. That is 100% where the rubs. I mean, if you're going to try to get off on the water thing, I mean, if we know the amount of water that's flowing over the dam, and if that amount of water that on average is flowing over the dam is enough water to support, whatever it is this venture is, if that math, the math is the math. But when we get into the taxes and when we get into these non-disclosure and not sharing with the public what we know, that is where the problem is. And
All right.
that's where, so I see in the comments, I mean, Sandy Crackman, I don't know if you're related to Chris or whatever, and you said give people credit. I mean, look, I do give people credit. I think that people, there's a lot more people more informed, but unfortunately, regardless of what you think, the majority of people are asleep at the wheel. They don't have a clue. They're checked out. They don't pay attention. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that is the God's honest truth. It's a minority of us that pay attention to all of this stuff every day.
And
It's
look,
not the majority of us.
Sandy's got a point. And this was brought up to, there were plenty of jeers during the meeting. But she says, I don't care how much water flows over any dam, Blanchard can't keep water running to the people who already pay for it. 100% agree, Sandy. I mean, Bossier Watch, we were
Yeah,
posting left and right in that whole water debacle. According to Amazon, they're going to fix and upgrade all of that infrastructure at their cost because they have to ensure water delivery, which by extension, and the logic is sound, by extension, that should improve the water delivery for all the residents as well. Now, the one thing that they did not answer directly, they indirectly answered it and danced around it, was whether the data center or whether residents or other customers were going to have priority in a drought situation or something like that. They danced around that.
Well,
What they did say was that they were going to have water tanks on site in reserve in case of emergencies that would last them X number of hours or X number of days or whatever the calculation is going to be.
well, and to Sandy Crackman's, post. I mean, if as a result of this data center, it resolves the problem of Blanchard, not being able to keep water running for the people who are already out there. I mean, I would say, is she going to come back and say, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we no longer have that problem? I mean, the thing goes both ways. She needs to come back on here and she needs to say, you know what? That this fixed that. And I agree with her. I mean, NDAs and keeping things secret from the public. No, I'm not there. That is the rub, and that's what we've said in the previous shows. Is you know, legislatively, they voted and they approved this. I mean, and people are not going to like what I'm fixing to say. This is all of your faults. This is everybody, not just y'all watching the show, me as well included, because I didn't know about this until after it happened. So therefore, it falls on my shoulders as well too. But this ability to have these NDAs to do this stuff, I I I didn't know about this. So it falls on me too. I'm not talking when I say this, I'm not talking about just you. I'm talking about
Oh
myself
yeah,
as well
we
too.
we completely missed the boat.
Yeah, we completely missed the boat. But this ability to do these NDAs is bullcrap. The public needs to be informed and you need to know. I agree. How do you fight a secret? You can't fight a secret.
Because you
But
don't know
here's what
about it.
you that's right. But here's what you can do. After the secret is out and the NDAs are no longer applicable, that's when the accountability starts, which is now. Case in point, 7 a.m., no, 8 a.m. this morning. You know what I was doing? Rex, I know you know what I was doing. I was sending follow up public information requests to the Bossier Parish Police Jury for they told me I sent them a public information request. I think it was on the 24th. They ended up responding back on the 7th and said I asked them for copies of all contracts that they had regarding the data centers in Bossier. You know what they told me, Rex? They told me no responsive records.
Mm.
So what I would pose to all of you watching, there's 70 people watching. I'm going to pose to y'all in the comments. Some of y'all may be lawyers, some of you not. Is a non disclosure agreement a form of a contract or not? Would you think that if you made
It's
a
contractually
signed a
binding.
yeah, if you signed a non-disclosure agreement with any entity as a government or elected official, is that considered a contract? I asked for all the contracts, and the Bossier Parish Police Jury tells me, you know, no responsive records, meaning they don't have any contracts. They ain't done nothing.
Right.
Well, I know that's bullcrap because they publicly said there's non-disclosure agreements. So I think a non-disclosure agreement is a contract.
Yeah.
And they're saying they don't exist. They don't have them. I followed up again this morning, for copies of every one of the non-disclosure agreements signed by every police juror and any non-disclosure agreements signed on behalf of the police jury in total. And we'll see what this
We'll
is
see.
the accountability phase. That's
All
what
right.
it is.
Speaking of accountability, let's go into a little bit of accounting here, and then we'll move on to the Bossier Parish Police Jury. So Bradford also said, and I'm quoting, I think this is him talking. I think our leaders have been very responsible with how they negotiated the incentive packages at the state level and at the local level. Anywhere else in the state, by law, data center infrastructure investment and equipment is a 0% sales tax generator. Not here. Commitment is 1% sales tax, which is an enormous amount on a project of this scale. And while we sit there and mull over Mr. Bradford's comment there for a second, I'm going to be prepping some screenshots to pull up here, which will show the voting record of those particular um, the legislation that enabled that 1%. So let me get this pulled up here.
Hey, while
So,
you're pulling that up, Julie Ferris says ratepayer protection pledge from Trump today. Big tech and AI companies must fully pay for the massive electricity their data centers consume, including new power plants and grid upgrades, so it doesn't raise household bills. I saw that, Julie Ferris, and 100% I agree with it. And I think at every one of these, meetings, they've been saying that. I, I,
right.
I mean, they have been saying that.
Yeah, they have. So this is the voting uh, record for HB 827 of 2024, which became law in Louisiana as Act 730. All right. And so you can see all of the legislators that voted yes, and look who the nays are. Our good friend Danny McCormick. And this is basically the, I'm just going to call it the Data Center Tax Break Act. All right. And so this is what Bradford was referring to, or one of the things. I've also got the actual act pulled up here. I've not had time to read through the whole thing. Let's see. Oh, I guess it's not going to let me turn the page. Hold on a second. Here it is. Hold on. All right. So this is Act 730. All right. Which to amend and enact statute relative to sales and use tax rebates to provide relative to a state and local sales and use tax rebate on the sale of certain communications service equipment and data center equipment, to provide for definitions, blah blah blah, to provide for an effective date, and so on and so forth. So this is the actual, if you go look up Act 730 of Louisiana, this is what allows them to, for all intents and purposes, pay not very much sales tax on everything. Now, my question is, well, number one, does anybody know how you qualify for this? I mean, I guess you have to meet the legal definition, but does this apply to big businesses only? Is this Amazon class businesses only, which are very, very few and far between in the world? Or, Duke, if you and I wanted to open an IT company, could we qualify for this?
Oh, good Lord. Is there a test?
No, no, because I haven't read the whole act. It was sent to me by
Okay.
Mr. McCormick, and I haven't had time to go through the whole thing yet.
Well, I haven't seen it at all, and I'm damn sure not going to try to read it off of this or whatever. But what I would say is Sandy Crackman says, "I'm Chris's wife. My feelings don't get hurt easily." Look, Sandy, I love your husband as well as Danny. I think they are true patriots, and they operate in the light. Not all politicians and everybody operates in the light. That's the problem that we face. It doesn't make everybody that's in politics bad people, but you have people, they I don't know, people operate in the light and people don't operate in the light. And a lot of people don't believe like we do that you should just operate in the light. A lot of people think that we need to work in the dark to try to progress things for the benefit of everybody. That doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean that they're wrong. But we haven't, and it doesn't mean they're bad people.
Right.
And I, you know, I don't 100% know. I can tell you, I started this show out and I talked about how I had no knowledge of a meeting with John Fleming at the beginning of the thing. I think that I didn't know about that for a reason. I think that doesn't mean that it was nefarious that I didn't know about it, but it's just politics. And I don't think everyone operates on all of these things: data center, governor, local politics, state politics. I don't think everyone operates with a level of knowledge to everybody be on the same page. It doesn't happen. That's not the way it is.
Right.
Does
No,
does that make sense? What I'm saying?
well, yeah, and I think both of us consider Chris Crackman as one of the Caddo commissioners and Danny McCormick as a state rep. We consider them the good guys. I mean, and they'll literally if they're talking, they're telling you exactly what they're thinking. They're not going to say one thing
Yeah,
and then do something else. If that's what they say they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. They're very few and far between, um, as far as
Jer-
people like politicians like that.
100%. They are straight shooters, and that was something that initially, like when we were starting the show out, when we were talking about Mike Johnson not voting on the congressional sexual abuse settlements and that thing.
Yeah.
Very few people even understand that. Jerry Castellani says, so are the data centers too sophisticated for average citizens to have an opinion and reasonable questions and concerns, albeit after the fact? You know, no, I don't, it's never, no question. Somebody said to me a long time ago, they said, no question is stupid. No question is out of line or whatever, regardless of the level. I think a lot of politicians, a lot of people like us that are engaged in politics every day, I mean, when we get a question or something that's like not informed and lower level, that, it unfortunately it rubs us wrong.
Right.
And I say that it rubs us wrong is because we're operating at a level way up here. We're way so far past that question that question uh, rubs us wrong, and
Oh,
that doesn't make it
well,
right.
or what I hate is we post something on Facebook or post the video, and then in the comments of said post and of said video, people are asking something that is clearly answered in the post or video. They just didn't take the time to read it. That's the only time I really get aggravated at that. It's the only time.
Yeah, and an elected official like Mike, I know Mike can speak to this, and Mike has talked about this. You want the public and you want people to get involved and you want them to get informed, but 99, I would venture to say, and Mike would probably agree with this, that 99% of the time people are so far behind the eight ball. The debate and the issue has done progress so far along. When they pose their question and they choose to get involved, it's so far after the fact that their question is irrelevant, and your
Well,
politician or your policymaker is having to go backwards and answer a question that's no longer relevant
I'll
because
give
of
you
this.
I'll give you a simple example because I've been harping on this about Caddo Lake. People will say right now, yeah, but Caddo Lake has been low. It's low and it's been in a drought for several months this year. Instead of going back and looking at the water levels and looking at the cubic feet per second flow and being on the lake, I'm on that lake 6, 7 times a month at a minimum. All right. I know when it's low, I check the water levels before I put my boat in the water every time because I want to know where it is and areas that I can fish. It hasn't
Wait a
been low
minute.
all it hasn't been
You
low
get to
all year.
go you're getting to go fishing on Caddo Lake 6 to 7 times a month.
Hey, it's I consider it part of the business. It's look, outdoor, outdoor news. There is a literal fish in my logo somewhere.
Part of the business. I'm just going to stop. Keep
Yeah.
going. I'm going to ignore you. Keep going.
It's just like
I
you go
think
up there and fool with them crawfish. You're probably up there boiling crawfish the whole time and eating crawfish,
I
aren't you?
ain't pulling and eating crawfish. I'm working like a damn slave and trying to get. I burn a craw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd
Keep
like to
going.
point out,
I'm stopping. I'm stopping.
like Mike Eccles, Julie Ferris is putting some good comments in there. So, folks, y'all need to scroll through the comments because a lot of those are pretty informative. All right. So, there's going to be plenty more posts from Bossier Watch on the Blanchard Data Center and the other Caddo Data Center as well. There will be posts as well on the Bossier Data Center. But let's move into a little bit of the Bossier Data Center and let's talk about the police jury. How about that? The Bossier
Yeah.
Parish Police Jury.
Good transition. So, as you know, but the folks watching this show, I mean, so they all did this non-DAs, and so once these NDAs are over with, and it's like public knowledge, it's supposed to be all out there in the public, right? Well, not so much. So I've been doing these emails back and forth with the police jury, trying to get information about what exactly your elected officials in Bossier Parish. I mean, look, we're not exempting Caddo Parish, and you know, y'all, what y'all are trying to do over there, and the information that you're trying to get, we're trying to get as much information as we can, because again, we're kind of, I hate to say, I don't want to speak for you, Rex, but I think I'm correct. We're support data centers, but at the same time, we respect the fact that the public has the right to know what's going on. They have the right to know what deals their elected officials, the people that you choose to negotiate on your behalf, what deals they have made. And the legislature chose to, make NDAs a thing. They did
Yeah.
that.
A
It's
Stephen
part of the
Jackson
law.
bill that our entire conservative delegation, with the exception of probably Danny McCormick, signed off on too, by the way, by voting for it.
Well, since Mike Eccles is chiming in here, to his voters, I mean, Mike can tell you in the comments where he was on that bill. I don't know
Yes.
exactly. I have no idea.
Stephen Jackson's bill for NDAs, Mr. Eccles. Where did you vote on that? Where do you stand on that?
I'm not hanging you out, but I'm pretty confident I know where Mike was on this. But the thing is now it's in the phase of accountability. And in the accountability part, and we said this in previous shows, is that it's your responsibility to hold your elected officials accountable for whether or not they negotiated on your behalf, to your liking, in your interest. And either they did or they did not. So we have been trying to get that information. I have been sending emails back and forth with the Bossier Parish Police Jury, and I will tell you that it's not been productive. They
Well,
did give us some documents, but they haven't given us what we've asked for.
but
So,
here's the
case
funny
in
thing,
point.
Mr. Lowry.
Okay, go
They
ahead.
did the tax breaks hiding in plain sight. These tax breaks weren't approved in some backroom deal. They were approved at a public meeting, of
Well,
which none of us were clued in about. But they literally did it at a public meeting with a published agenda. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
All right. So let me go
By
over
all,
this
okay,
Shreveport Bossier
okay,
Advocate
okay.
article.
So if you say that, so here y'all go. Here you go, guys. I'm going to challenge Rex. Rex says that we should all know. So I'm going to challenge you,
No,
Rex,
it's
and
not
you
what
and
I
I are
said.
going to debate.
I can hit the rewind button here. If you're going to quote me, do it the right way.
Uh,
Words
What
matter to me.
exactly? What exactly is the data center in Bossier? What tax break are they getting?
All right. Let's get through this article because I have 3 screenshots to show with nice little yellow and cute little red highlights here. So this article is from December the 23rd of 2025 from the Shreveport Bossier Advocate. Full credit to them, even though they have a copyright policy, but whatever, you know. All right. Bossier City Police Jury and the school board quietly okayed tax breaks that could apply to data centers. Remember, this is December the 23rd, before all this was really announced. I mean, there were,
Is that
rumors. The
is that
rumor
the
mill was flowing.
is that an Advocate article?
Yes, it is. All
Okay.
right. It means that a data center can ask the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority, all these acronyms, for a 25-year payment in lieu of taxes pilot, under which 30 to 65% of its property taxes will be waived depending on the amount of capital investment and the number of jobs. The company will also agree to pay 1% of all materials, furniture, and equipment purchases. If the company falls short, the center will be taxed at a higher rate. The term sheet also requires the company to repair any roads damaged as a result of the data center project and take all necessary action to ensure homeowner premiums don't rise, blah, blah, blah. So the key phrase there is term sheet. All right. The measure is the same one that was approved across the river by the Caddo Commission and more recently by the Shreveport City Council. But here's the thing. The Caddo Commission on the other side of the river discussed the issue for over 70 minutes, and the proposal drew over 2 hours of public input to the Shreveport City Council. All right. Both the school board and the police jury over here passed them unanimously without public input at the meeting or public discussion among the elected. And unlike the Caddo Commission and Shreveport Council, highlighted here in yellow, neither body in Bossier published the actual text of the measures they were voting on ahead of time. So they hid it
So
literally in plain sight.
so so we showed the term sheets from Caddo Parish. Now, why is it that we've made requests to the Bossier Parish Police Jury and the Bossier Parish School Board for any contracts, agreements, anything related to that? And why do we not have term sheets from Bossier?
Well,
Why is it that the Bossier Parish Police Jury and the Bossier Parish School Board has chose to not provide us the terms to which everyone in Bossier has a right to know? Why is it that they are keeping that from the public?
that's a
Why?
good question. So instead, the measures were described to the Bossier public, and I'm reading straight from the article, by only their line item in the respective agendas, which made no mention of data centers whatsoever. Quote, consider approval of a resolution approving annual payments in lieu of tax in accordance with one or more term sheets between the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority and qualifying entities and authorize the execution of documents. Would you know that that was for a data center?
No, no way I would know at all. So
So again,
what I
hiding in plain sight.
what I would what I would say is Philip Rogers. Philip, you're my police jury person. I'm just are you going to inform me? Rex, who's your police jury person? I mean,
I don't
I want to
know,
know the
Doug
answers.
Rimmer, I think,
Why
of all people. Taxman Rimmer.
why is the why is the police jury, you know, objecting to providing transparency on what the deal is? Why is that?
I don't know.
Why are they blocking us?
Well, hold on, hold
Because
on. The
okay,
Bossier Advocate, Shreveport Bossier Advocate addresses this, so I'm continuing to read from their article. It says the Shreveport Bossier City Advocate had to obtain the actual resolution via a direct request to the police jury's public information officer. The school board didn't respond to the same request, which is normal procedure for the police jury, which doesn't publish the actual text of the measures it votes on ahead of time. That practice has drawn repeated scrutiny from Jeff Sadow, and look here, they even mentioned us, from you and I of the Bossier Watch video podcast. When asked whether the public was given enough information to provide informed input, police jury president Glenn Benton said, well, I felt like we did. Don't compare us to Caddo, Benton said when pressed on the disparity. Every parish operates in a different form, but I don't think we're hiding. We didn't hide. We don't hide anything from the public. How can
so
he say that with a straight face knowing they all signed NDAs?
so here's what I want to say to all of you. I mean, look, this is business. I mean, this gets into this personal thing in which some people can't separate the politics and the personal. But I want to say Why? Why should I? Why do you think that I should not? How is this transparent? How is this?
Whoa, oh, wait, wait.
Why did I vote for any of you to negotiate behind closed doors on my behalf for government? I'm not against the data centers. I'm not, but I'm
Wait a
not for you doing crap behind closed doors. And you're sitting here. I wait. I patiently wait. I'm for data centers. I wait for the NDAs to not be applicable anymore, and you're still freaking hiding crap.
Oh,
So
wait till I read the
why
next
should I
quote.
not sue your ass? Why tell me, Rex? Why should I not sue you to get everything out in the open?
Because it takes a lot of money to file the suit, even if you do win. But listen to this. This is a quote from Glenn Benton, too. We don't
What do
have to
you think's
wait.
going to happen? What do you think's going to happen if somebody files a lawsuit? Do you think this is going to? Do you think by you continually stabbing everybody in the eye with your freaking finger, do you think you're going to win? I mean,
They have state law
I,
on their side. That's the problem. Listen to this quote. Listen to this
I don't
quote.
think it'll win the day in court. I don't think it will. So keep
Listen to this
stabbing
quote from
everybody in the
Glenn
eye, and
Benton.
somebody's going to file a lawsuit.
Glenn says, we don't have to wait 30 days public notice and all that. We don't have to wait to get anything done. Kind of like any other business that wants to come try to get sites ready for industrial sites or whatever. Let that sink in, folks. The president of the Bossier Parish Police Jury said, we don't have to wait 30 days public notice and all that. We don't have to wait to get anything done. They can just do what they want.
Sounds like Sounds like more people need to be paying attention to what your police jury is doing, because it obviously they don't feel like that they have to have any accountability to the public. Philip Rogers, do you think that there has to be any accountability to the public? Do you think that you owe anybody in the public? I mean, we already know where some of the other police jurors think. They
All right.
don't think that they owe the public a damn thing.
Here we go. Quote, all of Louisiana is ripe for data centers, Ben said. All of Louisiana, not just Bossier. So y'all get ready, the rest of Louisiana. The data center train is coming. And you'll love this quote, Duke. See if you catch the meaning here or if this rings a bell. I mean, if you don't give incentives, businesses, they shop around.
We and let me finish that sentence. We've been robbing Peter to pay Paul, and Paul's broke.
Broke. Yeah, exactly.
Broke.
All right.
Look,
So there is a public hearing on the data center coming up. I mean, it's after the fact. It's behind the eight ball. The freight train's coming anyway. But again, this is from the Shreveport Bossier City Advocate. And look, they have a paywall, but I would encourage everybody to subscribe because they do some great articles. Our friend Liz Swain, I think she writes for them, and Justin O'Connor is usually on top of stuff, one of their staff writers. But there will be an opportunity, Duke, for public input on the planned Amazon data center. I hate to tell y'all, it ain't in the planning stages anymore. It's on the freight train mode now. At the next Bossier Parish Police Jury's meeting, the voting will be on March 18th on the final plat for the property, which is located north of Benton. It's a 1,089-acre site off of Highway 3. To the west, that is located to the immediate north of Lone Oak Drive. Filings refer to the planned development as the Highway 3 Technology Park. So here's the deal, folks. Everybody that seems to be pissed off about this, especially in Bossier Parish, but even if you're in Caddo Parish, come on over. It's an open public meeting. March 18th, you need to show up at the Bossier Parish Courthouse and go to the police jury meeting.
at 100%, that's the thing. Bossier Parish Police Jury needs as much attention from the public as possible. Everybody needs to show up, and because here's the thing, this isn't just about the Bossier Parish Police Jury, but this is about politics in general. And the thing is we've done made politics too easy. We done made enabled these politicians to do whatever they want and just have carte blanche to make decisions and no accountability. That's bull. Not what any of us agreed to. We didn't agree to just let these guys do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and no accountability. But they have taken, our lack of interest, our lack of activity as being, that they have carte blanche to do whatever they want to do. So the thing is they're counting on your lack of interest. They're counting on you not making any effort to participate. That's
Yep.
what they're counting on. And you know what? I got to tell you,
Usually
if I
people
have
don't.
to if I got to take my wallet and this is a bet like I'm at a casino, I got to tell you the odds are in their favor.
Yes,
The
they are.
odds are in their favor because they're majority of the time they've been right. You don't do anything. You don't do a
Right.
damn thing.
You're right.
So
Uh,
they
Michael
know how the odds are.
Michael Prime asked, "What's the date on that article?" It's was it yesterday's article or today? Either yesterday or today. So next meeting.
I got it yesterday, I
Yeah.
think. Um, but the bottom line is are you going to do anything? And I mean, look, any of your police jurors, I, just because, I mean, look, let's talk about legislation. So this legislation from what was the representative? You said it earlier. We talked about it because nobody we talked. You and I talked about how nobody's talking about him.
Wait, say that again?
You and I talked about the legislator that made this bill about the NDAs. What's his
Oh,
name? I
Stephen
can't
Jackson.
remember his name. Stephen Jackson. Yes.
Yes, the world famous Stephen Jackson from Caddo Parish. He's a
There's
workhorse.
nothing prevents a local government body, say the Police Jury of Bossier, the Caddo Commission, or the Council of Shreveport or Bossier, or any of them, for exceeding those requirements, meaning that they say, you know what? Yes, state law gives us that ability to sign these NDAs, but we as a body choose that we will never do this again, that we're not going to do that or utilize that benefit. The Bossier Parish Police Jury could easily do that. But you know what? The only thing that will make the Bossier Parish Police Jury or and let me not leave out the Bossier Parish School Board because they are a taxing authority. A lot of people say as well that Bossier City, they keep a lot of people. Maybe it's because we focused on Bossier City so much over the years. They think, well, Bossier City's trying to hunt something. Well, look, Bossier City wasn't in this hunt. Bossier City didn't have any vote or any thing to do with this. All they had to do in Bossier City, we got the water sector agreement, and they're selling water to the port up there at the outside the city rate. I mean, Bossier City to the citizens of Bossier City, you should be thanking your Bossier City councilman. They and maybe the mayor. I don't know what role he had, but you need to thank Bossier City. They did you a good job.
Right.
They're selling water outside the rate at the normal rate. There was no give or take at all in there. You should be thanking them. But still, whatever the agreement was made between the police jury, school board, and all that, that's still up in the air. You still don't know. And it shouldn't be a question of whether you know or not. It should be straightforward. It should be, you should know. Are they paying taxes? Are they not paying taxes? If they are paying taxes, what percentage of taxes are they paying? But
Right.
you don't know. And
Well, we know it's 1% of sales tax. And
yeah,
so that raises, as we kind of get ready to close out, I've got a couple of questions, and I'll post these on Bossier Watch as well. But what is the projected total value of property taxes waived over 25 years at each waiver tier, which is 30, 45, and 65%. Under Act 730, what local sales tax base is expected to be rebated for construction plus equipment? Does the deal include clawbacks that trigger automatically if jobs and investment targets aren't met, or is enforcement discretionary? I think they have a couple of $1 million fine, which would be nothing to Amazon. Why did the agenda not plainly say data center pilot term sheet? Hello, Bossier Parish Police Jury. Why not? And will the Bossier Parish Police Jury commit to publishing the full resolution text plus attachments at least 72 hours before the votes? Now, legally, they're only required for, 24 hours? They got to put it in the official publication. But will they commit to being just a little more transparent? Just a little bit?
Well, look, the Bossier Parish Police Jury, led by Patrick Jackson, let's just say it the way it is. I mean, I'm sorry, I like Patrick, but they don't want to be transparent. They do not want to be transparent. They
No.
do they have a lot of things on the plate as far as that they have to deal with in their meetings. Yeah, they have a lot. They do. I give them. They have a lot of business that they have to do. But I will tell you, I think that they have all these little meetings, and the reason they have these committee meetings is to keep it out of the public view.
Yeah,
That's why they do what they do. It's structured that way so that you won't be informed.
right.
And Jeffrey sat out, are you kidding? Jeff knows. I mean, so, you know, they are not being transparent. And I think that is a negative, and I think it's part of the reason why we're turning our attention away from Bossier City to the Bossier Parish. And interestingly, just like last week, we talked about how I suddenly had this dog uh, dropped off in my neighbor's yard and placed in a pen because the Bossier Parish Police Jury decided they didn't want to have to deal with Bossier City on pets or loose animals within the parish and pay Bossier City to take care of them. But
Yeah.
yet they don't they're not taking any action to deal with all of the loose animals running around the parish, and there's a freaking lot of them. And I
No, it's
understand
crazy.
it. I understand that people in Bossier City, councilmen and the mayor, are getting beat up about why they're not taking, and this is wrong. Why should the city council of Bossier and the mayor be taking shots from people of the parish for why they're not taking dogs from the parish? How is that right? It's not right when the parish has chose not to continue their agreement with Bossier City to take care of pets from the parish. I mean, the parish is the one that's not dealing with their problem.
No. Right. So, speaking of problems, let's transition to the Bossier City Arts eviction, which is a
Eviction.
whole eviction. They are being
Eviction.
evicted. Yes, they have till March the 31st to get out of town, or, get out of the city owned building anyway.
Oh, Jeff sat out. If we get in the port and carbon
Oh,
capture,
we're not doing the
we'll,
port tonight.
we will never get finished with this show tonight.
I am
Good grief.
hungry, and we are getting through the Arts Council, and we are not getting into the port tonight, Mr. Sadow.
He's right. That is a hell of an
We're
issue.
already 2 hours in. We'll be midnights in here. All right.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch screens real quick, and let's go through this a little bit. So you and I was ranting and raving about Richard Ray and not being nice to him, which I really don't care about. So we're about to get to that. So first of all, spoiler alert, which you've already probably read in other social media and on the news and all that. The Bossier City Council did not renew the agreement for the Bossier Arts Council because of their noncompliance with the Louisiana Legislative Auditor for the past 3 years, as well as they had also stated that they may not be in compliance with the IRS. That was the city's contention. So Nathan Hicks got up, and look, Nathan did a superb job of falling under the bus again on behalf of the Arts Council and failing the Arts Council to get this stuff caught back up that had been left behind by the previous director, not apparently really his fault. But in the end, they still voted. Well, we'll get to that here in a minute, but they still voted to not renew the agreement. So the Arts Council is getting no more funding. They're letting them keep the 80 grand they already have and no more building and utilities provided by the city. Now, I want to get to this one comment by this lady, a young lady named Amber, about the IRS compliance. So listen to this.
And we have checked to verify, with the exception of the LLA, as a nonprofit, the Bossier Arts Council is now and has been in good standing with the IRS and the state. That has not been in question.
So remember, there was some question by the city council of whether they were in compliance with the IRS. According to Amber, they are in compliance. And now let's listen to Mr. Hammonds. There were a couple other speakers there, but they're all speaking on behalf of the Arts Council and all that, and trying to plead their case. All right, here we go, Mr. Hammonds.
President, I want everybody that has spoke to understand this didn't start 2 weeks ago. This started, no, sir, it's my turn to talk, so don't raise your hand. Okay?
Ooh.
It started in October is when this started. When they first came in October back to us for their funding, that is when this whole wheel started turning. Then it turned into the legislative auditor, then it turned into the IRS, then it turned into everything else. It's not that the city of Bossier does not care about the arts. It's been there 45 years, so apparently we care about the arts, that we've let it go on for 45 years. So by saying that the city of Bossier does not care about the arts, you're totally wrong. But you have to understand that we have guidelines that have to go along with that. One person said that 2 weeks was not enough. That's what you asked for, was 2 weeks, and that's what I agreed and gave you. I'm the one that put that motion up for the 2 weeks after you asked for that. So the other problem comes into play is, yes, we give you money every single year. It's public knowledge. We give public documents. We give you $80,000 a year. How long are you going to be able to sustain off of $80,000 a year when you have no director, you have no assistant director? How long is, once you hire those, you're broke. Yes, you have free rent, you have free water, you have free electric, you have all of that, but you have no money to do anything else. You have no federal grants out there working, you have no fundraisers out there working. So
He's got a point.
Us sustaining you, yes, for a year, what happens next year? What happens the year after that?
So he's got a point there. There is no disputing that. Those are the facts. But listen to Miss Deborah Ross's question, because I think Deborah Ross had the best question / comment of the whole meeting or concerning Bossier City Arts Council. So listen up here.
I would just like to ask this question of the city of Bossier. How did we get in this predicament, and why did it take so long for us to recognize that Bossier Arts were 3 years with their legislative auditor being non-compliant? How did we get here with 3 years later with them not having their
Fair question
in order?
They just didn't do it. But Mr. A, do you want to speak on that?
And before I let the weasel himself get up and address this, she's asking a valid question, because I got to say, Hammonds and Smith have been on the council those 3 years. They were in non-compliance. So think about that for a second. I'm not laying the blame on Hammonds. I think Hammonds is 100% right. And I absolutely agree with Chris's post that he made about their reasoning for all this. I'm not really disputing that. But Miss Deborah asked the really good question. So let's listen to Richard Ray and listen carefully how he parses his words is all I'm going to say.
That's a great question, and I can tell you that it's my understanding that unless you go and seek out who has filed reports with the legislative auditor and who hasn't, you really don't know. But when they hit the 3-year threshold, that's when the legislative auditor actually put it out publicly. And so we became aware of the fact that they had not filed their legally mandated audit reports when the legislative auditor made everyone aware that it happened at 3 years.
All right. Hold up right there. Did you hear what he said, Mr. Lowry? Because
I can't help but think, for some reason, I don't know why, the Cypress District keeps popping up in my head. Why is
yeah,
that?
they let them get by with doing all sorts of illegal activities that went all the way to the Louisiana Supreme Court, by the way.
I don't remember seeing any video like this regarding the Cypress District. And correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Bossier City Council have an appointment of a person to the Cypress District?
Yes, they do.
Where is this video? Why did we not see this video?
Well, I agree 100%. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the Cypress District. But more importantly, did you hear exactly, because he's the one that made the famous quote, words matter, and he is correct. Words do matter. So their contention all along has been that the Legislative Auditor's Office has alerted them to the fact that the city, or I'm sorry, that the Bossier Arts Council is in noncompliance after 3 years. Well, it is true that the Legislative Auditor's Office puts a list up of non-compliant entities. But notice he said they made it available to the public. So he's insinuating that they alerted the city to this while he's saying what is actually true, that the legislative auditor has posted it. Now, maybe the legislative auditor's office picked up the phone and called the city. Maybe they sent them an email. We don't know that for sure, but I just sent a public information request in to the city and to the legislative auditor's office to find out if there was an actual proactive notification from the legislative auditor's office to the city's office. And I want to, buffer this by saying I agree 100% with the city council's actions and with Hammond's consternation over their inability, the Arts Council's inability to get their stuff straight, because they did give them plenty of time. It was more than 2 weeks. There's no doubt about that. All right, so let's continue on.
Your other question, or the question that I believe is implied in it, is how do we keep from this happening again? I can tell you that right when we figured this out, we got with the mayor, we got with the director of finance, and we have put in place now a procedure where we affirmatively go and check the list, because we can check the list for anyone. There's not many entities that receive money from the city, but we have put in a new procedure in place to check everyone before money is given to any organization, so that I don't think that we would ever find ourselves in this situation again, certainly not 3 years behind, okay? So.
And also to piggyback.
All right, so, and Justin O'Connor's in the comments, who writes for the Shreveport Bossier Advocate, does some great articles. Like I said, we encourage everybody to go get a subscription because they really do some good work there. But the point that I'm driving at here, Justin, is the city council has made it an issue, or alluded to the fact, or implied that the legislative auditor's office alerted them to the fact that they were out of compliance. But Richard Ray, and we know Richard Ray well, is dancing around that fact, and he is couching his words very carefully in what he is saying. He's doing the lawyer speak. Now, hopefully, when we get our public information request back, it'll clear this up and we'll be able to come back next week or whatever and say, yeah, the legislative auditor's office did proactively reach out to the city and let the city know that there were that the Arts Council was out of compliance. Maybe somebody ratted them out, but you just heard him say, well, Jacobs is going to get to this point because Richard Ray just said one thing, that they have now put in procedures to where they're going to vet entities that come before them. But I want you to listen to Jacobs's comment, which pretty much countermands what Richard Ray just said about that. Listen up.
Briefly, and respectfully, the city of Bossier gives a tremendous amount of money to multiple nonprofit organizations. And when we give money to those nonprofit organizations, there's a certain level of trust. We give the Bossier Arts Council, the city, through the city council and the mayor's office, $80,000 a year for salaries, $50,000 a year to manage the plaza. A free building that would probably rent from anywhere from $2,500 to $7,500 a month, depending on the tenant, free utilities, so on and so forth. And there has to be, the city doesn't have the personnel to micromanage every nonprofit entity to which the city deems it appropriate to give money.
Did you follow what he was saying? Richard Ray just said they had put procedures in place. Jacobs just said they don't have the manpower to do that, which is literally going to the legislative auditor's office website, looking up the non-compliant list and checking, I don't know, a dozen or so entities or whatever the number is. So what's the deal here, Mr.
Well,
Smith?
let me jump in here, and this is going to rub a few people wrong, especially those communicating with me. But allegedly, and I say that in the term because I can't confirm what I've been told, but allegedly, there's already someone identified to replace the Bossier Arts Council once they get them booted out of there. That one of the councilmen have somebody already waiting in the wings to replace the Bossier Arts Council,
Really?
as I understand. And I don't know if that's true or not true, but what I can tell you is that if it is true and it can be shown that one of the councilmen has been negotiating or working to place another group or body in the Bossier Arts Council, and if your public information requests reflect that what we think it may show and confirm that, I got to tell you, I think Bossier City Council may be at their first crossroads of having some problems here.
Some
And
character foundation problems, maybe.
yeah, and look, I the Bossier Arts Council, am I giving them a pass on making the appropriate filings? No, I'm not. I'm not giving them a pass from failing to make
Correct. They failed.
whatever their responsibilities are with the legislative order. I'm not giving them a pass on that. But if I appreciate correctly what I have understood at this point, they've made their federal tax filings. What freaking else is their responsibility beyond that with the state that makes them unfit to serve?
And not just that. As many times as Travis Morehart spoke at the Cypress District meetings, why didn't they have Travis up there
What?
to
Yeah,
explain?
because wasn't Morehart and Associates part of the CPA firm? Wasn't they
Yes,
the
the Cypress
CPA firm
District.
for them?
Yeah.
So I'm missing something. Is missing here. I am missing something, and
Well,
so
here's my theory. This is just Rex's theory. Listening carefully to Richard Ray's words, because words matter, and Richard Ray is a weasel lawyer. It
There you
sounds to me.
go. Weasel. You said weasel. You didn't say rat. You said weasel. So that means you like him.
I've
Okay,
just
got
got
it.
this little tingling spidey sense sensation thing that there is more to this story. Like, we need to be able to put so and so entity into a building or into this building, or we need the funding next year from this. And how can we get out of this deal? Oh, wait a minute. Let's go check the legislative auditor site. Oh, well, they're not compliant. Theirs are out, and it blows up into this. Now, again, that's only my theory. We could get information back from an email chain from the legislative auditor and from the city that would absolutely prove me wrong. And if so, we'll be back next week to report on that, and I'll have a little egg over here to put on my face or whatever. But I don't know. It just, when I heard Richard Ray say that during the meeting, I went ding, 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 ding. Why is he being so careful with his words? So that's my theory. Hey, I want to kind of start ending the show, but I'm going to do something highly unusual. I'm going to give Vince Maggio some credit. And Colonel Crockett, don't fall out of your chair if you're still awake watching. I'm actually going to give Vince Maggio some credit. Would you like to hear what Vince had to say?
You know, I got to tell you,
I'm being serious.
Look, I gotta say, Vince was in the wrong place on term limits. But I gotta tell you, I like Vince. I've always liked Vince, and
well,
he.
I am very serious here.
I understand Vince may have been led down the primrose road by some people, and that he acknowledges that. And if he truly does acknowledge that, I give him credit. I do.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I think Vince may be heading in the right direction. I'm with you. I'm looking forward to hear what you got to say about Vince.
So our good friend Wes Marriott says, someone check Rex's temperature. He must be running a fever. Yes, I must be. But look, I give credit where credit's due.
That fever has gotten over onto me.
Yeah.
I guess we're both running fever. I mean, Vince is, I think, maybe, hitting on all gears. He may even be mayor potential the next time around.
Oh Lord, I won't go that far, but let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I was just trying to espouse a reaction from someone, but anyway,
here we go.
Mr. Maggio?
Yes, that $80,000. So where's that at right now? Y'all got anything left? Or?
See, good question. Where's the $80,000 that y'all got?
As soon as we got into this situation, I was aware that this may be a problem. So we have paid staff as due and then spent no other funds anticipating that this may be an issue.
I got to say, that Nathan Hicks guy is as smooth as butter. He is a smooth character. But Vince's question was a valid one. Hey, the $80,000 we gave you, where'd that go? And to the city council's credit, they said, well, we're not worried about, and the ordinance didn't specify, they're not worried about the $80,000. You just got to go.
Look, you know what? I didn't know. For some reason, I always thought this Nathan Hicks guy, I thought he was the director. But come to find out, he's just the damn board guy. Ain't no way in hell he would want to be in this position. If he could get out of it, he would be out of it.
The nicest lawyer I've ever seen. Okay, so I've been informed that the superior one of the Marriott duo has a comment that I skipped. So I've got to put up the superior comment. Danielle Marriott says, after watching the meetings and hearing how poorly the BAC has been run, a high school student council is run better and has better record keeping. I wouldn't give them another dollar. I agree with you, Danielle, with the slight exception of how the city council got to where they are. I need a little clarification on that.
Well,
through public
great
requests.
Point, Rex. I think you're right. We know who's in charge, and it's Danielle. 100% it's Danielle. It is not Wes. 100%. And to David Crockett, he accused me of stealing when I returned his signs. I mean, come on, David. I mean, look, he took offense to you. It was just a big misunderstanding. I mean, Vince is the new deal. He's the end guy. Come
Right.
on, you gotta let bygones be bygones. Y'all put that stuff in the past.
Hey, good answer there, Mr. Wes Marriott. She is the superior Marriott. Good answer, Wes. Good answer. All right, Mr. Lowry. Anything else you want to yak about? It's 9:20.
There,
This is one of the longest shows we've done in a while.
there is so much more I would like to say. I would love to say so much more, but I will tell you, I'm interested to see how this turns out with the Bossier Arts Council and whether or not they have someone else already predetermined to put in there. I think it will signify the turning of the page. I mean, a lot of people say that we are beholden to the existing city council and the existing city government, and if it turns out that they've already pre-selected somebody, I think this may be the point where the rubber meets the road with Bossier City,
We'll
and
see.
we may be back in business with Bossier City. Who knows?
Who knows? Just playing ping pong between the police jury and Bossier City. Come on, Bossier City Council. Y'all are supposed to be the
I,
good guys.
but maybe Danielle Marriott can tell us how that's going to turn out. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. And look, again, I could be completely wrong. Maybe Richard Ray was doing his best job at actually telling the truth. We'll see. All right, Mr.
But
Lowry, it's been another fun show.
you use the force, Duke.
Yeah, use the force. Look, I want to thank everybody for watching and tuning in. If you're new to the show, thanks for checking us out. If you're not new to the show, thanks for hanging out again with us and all of the commentary. Even if you don't agree with what I say or don't agree with what Duke says, we do appreciate the commentary. Just realize when you comment, we may put it on the screen, no takebacks, and sometimes we may push back a little. I want to remind everybody, Facebook deletes the videos after 30 days. I may re-upload. I've already re-uploaded some of them. I may re-upload some others, but you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel because YouTube has all the archives in case you want to go back and see what us two amateur yahoos got on our soapbox about.
Amateur yahoos. You know, I've always thought of what we did as being an art. It
is an art form.
It's an art.
Hey,
We call it a show for a reason. It's art.
Maybe we should become an NGO and apply for money from the city and apply to move into the Bossier Arts Council's former digs.
I mean, it's an interesting
Brilliance.
thing. Politicians want to be our friends, but then they really don't want to be our friends. It's selective of how they want to be friendly with us at certain times, but then they don't want to be our friends.
But
It's an art.
imagine
All
us
art.
broadcasting from a city-owned building at their expense. Wouldn't that just be phenomenal?
Oh, are you suggesting that Bossier City hire us to be their social media people?
No, I want them to put us in the Bossier Arts Council's former digs, and we can broadcast out of there rent-free and electric-free too, by the way. You can even forgo the $80,000. We just need the space.
Oh, you may not have to leave my house and drive down to Bossier City to.
Yeah, but we could have a live audience there, like the game show days. See, we could turn this into a full-blown spectacle, more so than it already is.
No, you see what would happen. See, that's where you're wrong. See, what would happen would Seabiscuit would call all of the little Bossier City cronies and say, hey, you can't let those guys go down there and do nothing like that. And that would be over with. I mean, because Seabiscuit runs all of Bossier City, right?
Right. Yeah, I guess so. All right. Let's sign off and get out of here. I am starving and I'm going to find some dinner to warm up in the microwave. How about that? Take us out of here, Mr. Lowry, so I can hit this finish button.
Next week. See y'all later.